Hello, vinyl community. Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and the subject at hand is the state of record shows in 2024. And I thought I would do this video because I've been working, selling at a couple of record shows of late, and got another one coming up in a few weeks. And I thought it would be interesting if I shared some of my experience with the vinyl community and asked for input from others about how they feel about record shows. There's some good and bad to them, I know, as there is in anything else in life. But but do you like record shows? Do you feel like you get good deals there? What are your problems with record shows? I'm going to address a few of those things and see what I can come up with as far as some strategies and things like that when you go to a record show, whether you're a seller or a buyer. I'm no expert. I've done maybe 5 record shows at this point, 6 maybe so far, and really have enjoyed each of them for a number of reasons. So first, this what you saw at the opening of this video was from the Tap Yard. The Tap Yard is a neighborhood bar in Raleigh off Wake Forest Road, and they sponsored a Sunday afternoon a record show. Capital guy organized it. Capital City Record Shows is what it's called, and there were about 6 sellers there. I had a really good time, and I really did well at that record show as far as, you know, having the records people wanted to buy and people being willing to purchase records. I think I sold 39 records, which is the second most I've ever sold at a record show there. And so that's kind of a pop-up, kind of like a pop-up show located, as record shows do sometimes, located in sometimes in brew pubs, some of the coffee houses, things like that. This one is in the neighborhood bar there in Raleigh, and uh, great location. Setup was easy. The people were very, very nice. Got to meet and talk to a whole lot of people and share our love for vinyl with them. Maybe a little bit different crowd than what you get at a traditional record show. That which is what I went to yesterday, Sunday the 12th. Sunday the 12th, I guess it was, uh, and or the 13th, and that one what took place at the Hampton Inn in one of their conference rooms with uh, uh, Greg Neal, who has a circuit he runs when they do Raleigh on Sunday, the day before on Saturday they do Charlotte. So I know a lot of vinyl community friends from the Charlotte area attend that, and he does shows in other parts of the southeastern United States as well. Usually comes to Raleigh 3 to 4 times, 3 times this in 2025. He's only going to be there 3 times. But so two different types of shows, but with some good things about each of them. Now, uh, what are some things that people might not like or be comfortable with about the record show format? One refrain I hear a lot online, at least, is that the dealers uh, buy up all the stock. Now, there are big record shows. There's one in Austin, is at least several times a year. I think one in Seattle. These big record shows uh, where they will either have a period of time before it's open to the public, or they'll have a whole day, a pre-sale day, where only other sellers can go, or you have to pay a premium price to be admitted as an individual to go in and buy during that time. I don't really like that. I don't think that's a good aspect. Now, uh, at the record show that I did Sunday, the policy is there's a $2 admission fee. Some people say maybe we don't need admission fees, and some record shows don't have admission fees, especially if it's a pop up. You're not going to have one because that's kind of a work between two businesses, the record sellers and the bar, coffee shop, or whatever it might be, to bring people in to do business. So they're not going to charge you a admission fee. But at the Greg Neal shows, it charges $2, a nominal fee, not much at all. And this show starts at 10 o'clock. Normally, what I see occurring is, we're expected to try to be there about 8 or 8:30 in the morning for a 10 o'clock opening. uh, when we get there and get set up, then we've got some time before the official opening, and we go around and uh, we talk to, make friends or renew friendships with people we hadn't seen since the last show, and look through their records. What have you got? And, uh, oh, I picked up so and so recently, and things like that. And we'll go through, and sometimes we will buy from each other. Uh, from to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I don't like the idea that you've got to be an exclusive club to get in. Now, the thing about that 10 o'clock opening is the doors are wide open, and nobody is going to say anything if you come walking in a little bit early. So don't hesitate. Get there a little early if you're hoping to get first chance at some certain records you hope to find. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody is going to say, "Wait a minute, it's not 10 o'clock yet. I can't sell you a record. You come in and you look through my collection, and you want to buy some records, and we'll sell you some records." Another thing you hear people say about record shows a lot is the prices are just too darn high. People are overpricing their records. And I say yes and no to that contention. There are there are people that are selling records at record shows that have prices marked what I would consider way too high. And there are other people that are selling at below what you could get it at a record shop or online. And there are a lot of people who are selling at, the baseline, the suggested retail price of a used record. You know, Nobody's going to give you a Fleetwood Mac Rumors record for $3 unless it's trashed. Okay. Uh, so you're going to expect to pay 24, 22, $18, maybe more, 16 maybe, for a Fleetwood Mac Rumors. But that's you know, you go to a brick and mortar store and see what they're asking for. And so there's that. I think records are it just depends on the individual seller at a record show, whether prices are outrageous or prices are reasonable, or I got some really good deals. So, with that in mind, one of my suggestions for anybody going to a record show, if you haven't been before, or if you've never had a strategy before, is when you get there, make the circuit. Go around and look through the different record collections, the different tables, and see what people have. You can notice certain people specialize in certain things. Take note of that. Take note of what, if you've got a baseline price, a record that you'll probably see in a lot of places. What's this guy selling Fleetwood Mac Rumors for? Well, if he's got it marked for $40, I would take note, unless that's some sort of a rare pressing that distinguishes that Fleetwood Mac Rumors album, then be wary of that seller. Uh, and if you see a Fleetwood Mac for sale at another table and it's $10, take a look at it. Is there a reason it's $10? Is it you know in bad shape? Why is it so much cheaper than what you would normally see? Check the condition of records at different places. I'm surprised. There are some people that show up at record shows to sell, and it looks like they just went in their attic and grabbed a few boxes of records and then down to the basement and got a couple more and then threw them up on a table. The records are in poor condition. A lot of them are trashed. Uh, they're 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 just, why would you try to sell me this? Is what I ask myself sometimes. I take pride in my table. Every record I put on that table is cleaned by me, and I've got them in new inners and new outers, and I've got I've inspected them. If there's a grade on it, it's because I play graded it all the way through, not because I looked at it and said, looks VG plus to me or looks near mint to me. So that's another thing to to do when you walk around. See what condition these records. If a bunch of these records are trashed, I would be hesitant to buy anything from that person. If you've got notice the prices on a few records that you'll tend to see in a lot of different sellers tables, and compare. You know, uh, that'll tell you a whole lot. Who's got the more reasonable prices and who's trying to just get a whole lot for a few records and go home, uh, not maybe not selling that many records, but selling what they do for inflated prices. Okay, avoid that. So I'd make a circuit around the room first before I bought my first record. Then I would, at that point, I would know which sellers specialize. This guy specializes in heavy metal. And I want to, and if that's your thing, you want to definitely spend more time with at his tables. This guy has got a lot of jazz. As jazz is your thing. Okay, there's jazz at this table, there's jazz at that table, and jazz at that table. That sort of thing. This guy's got a lot of, 3 records for $10. You can get some good records for that sort of price. That sort of thing. And so uh, have a strategy when you go in. Another strategy when you go in, as I said earlier, just because it starts at 10, you should be able to walk into most any record show. It's open to the public and get there a little early. You can try that, or you can try getting there at a later time. Because as I tell people when I go, I didn't haul all these records up here just to pack them all back up and carry them home. I want to sell some records. So even though, say, a record show starts at 10 and ends at 4, for instance, about everybody's cleared out by 3:30, to be honest with you. People stop showing up about 2 o'clock. You stick around with the people that got there around 2, and by 3 o'clock, everybody's winding down, and probably most people are gone by 3:30. So don't get there too late. But say get there at 2 o'clock, and I'm ready to pack up here in a few minutes. So just I might be willing to come off a little more on the price if knowing that, I hadn't sold that many that day and I needed, I've paid for a table here. I've spent the time and effort and I've spent the gas money and that sort of thing to get up here and, took a day out of my life to do this. Uh, I need to sell a few more records. So you might find people more willing to come down on the price on a record or some records you're interested in the closer it gets to shutdown time. So that's one thing. Another thing, most people that are selling records at our show are willing to do some negotiations. They've got a price on that record, marked on that record, and my philosophy is if you buy 3 or 4 records from me, I'll knock some money off of it. If you buy a real expensive record from me, I'll knock a little money off of it, you know? So don't hesitate to ask. All I can say is no, and anybody that gets mad at you for asking, then they've got a anger management problem. But people will deal. People will negotiate. Now, on the other hand, if I've got a John Mayall record and it's $6, and that's the only record you want, I'd rather you didn't ask me if I can do any better on that. Because if that record's marked $6, there is hardly any markup there for me. And I mentioned earlier specialists. Try to figure out who specializes in what things. I'm trying to find my particular niche in the record shows. And what I'm trying to establish is if you're looking, I'm going to have a core of about half the 500 or so records I'll carry to a show are going to be that classic rock type stuff. Allman Brothers, Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, uh, the other bands like that, that come from that era. They're going to be rock records, about half of them. But the other half are going to be R&B records and soul records and blues records and jazz records and Americana and country and folk and bluegrass. Okay. So I'm trying to establish myself as the go-to guy when they say, you got any bluegrass here? And to another dealer and that guy may say, there's a couple right here, take a look, but if you don't see what you want there, see that guy with the hat on over there on the other side of the room? He's usually got a pretty good stock of bluegrass over there, and become that person. Okay. And another thing, I would suggest you might a strategy: get to know people that they're selling records regularly at the record shows you go to. If they've got a card, get it from them. If there's a particular record you want, you really need a good clean copy of Grateful Dead Europe '72, and everybody should have that in their collection eventually. Uh, give somebody a call. That's going to be you're going to be at the record show Sunday. Yes, call them a week or two in advance. So don't do it. Don't do it last minute. Yeah, I'm going to be there. Uh, well, have you got a copy of Europe '72? Yeah, I think I got a couple of copies here. What do you want? What will you take for them? And what condition are they in? Get the details from them and figure out. You can settle on a price right there on the phone. Well, if it's like you said it is, I'll take that if you'll bring it. And they'll bring it to the show that Sunday and or Saturday, whatever day it is. And you got your record there. Okay. That's another good strategy that you can use. And let people know at the record show, these are the types of things I'm looking for. And we'll try the next record show. If we don't have it this one, we'll try it the next one and get it there. So those are a few things that I would say about record shows. So take your time, be a smart consumer, is what I say. But also don't expect people you think of the work they've put in to be there at that record show. Don't expect them just to give them to you either. It's an agreed upon amount that between the seller and the buyer, what's reasonable that I can make as a seller a decent profit, and you as a buyer can get it for a good price. Okay, so that's what I would say there. Now, as a seller, one of the problems you got to watch out for is you end up buying more records than you uh, sell. So at the tap yard, I didn't buy anybody else's records, but I did buy a few things at uh, at the one Sunday. I picked up a Journey record for a friend of my daughter's that was looking for that, so I just picked that up and got that for her. Also, one other thing I'll mention: you may be able to trade sometimes. Some sellers will work out some sort of an exchange, a trade. I had a $30 Tony Rice record that fellow was interested in, and he brought these two records to me, uh, and he said, "What what could you do that record for? Sell that record to me for if I traded you these two?" I looked at them; the records appear to be in good condition. This is a this is a in demand record, classic. Very important record. This is a very good record, which features Tony Rice on it, J.D. Crowe, New South, recorded in 1973. This is not going to command a huge price. This is going to command a decent price. I figured I could get $25 out of that, out of these two, maybe a little bit more, and maybe a little less. I sold him the record for $15 in these two records, which I thought was a good deal. He thought was a good deal. So that's what we did. So you might consider bringing a few records you don't ever play anymore, you won't get rid of, and see if you could trade. Now, Captain Neil, no, not talking ugly about Captain Neil, but not a lot of demand for them. So Don't bring me your mama's Captain Neil record and think I'm gonna exchange that for a, a Bird's record or something like that. Okay. Uh, Before the show and during the show too, when there's lulls in the in activity, uh, we look at each through each other's collections and sometimes buy things. I went through a guy's $2 records at the bottom of his table before the show, pulled out 6 records, gave him $2 piece for them, gave him $12, and they're things that I will I'll clean them up, put them in new uh, inners and outers, and make sure they play well, and then I'll sell them. I'm sure, Ry Cooder, what a great artist, but he has a limited uh, fan base. So they probably got tired of these sitting there. But what I can be a little more patient. I can clean these up and I can put these out. Uh, and I'll have about $3 invested in these, and I can sell them for $6 or something, and everybody can be happy. This Birds album, it's got a bad tear here, but you don't play the record, remember? Same thing. Vinyl looks good. Clean it up. I can sell it for $6 or $8 maybe. And here's a sealed record. New Orleans, a couple of New Orleans music records. Got these two. And these were the last two of those $2 records. I've got this record already. This is sealed. I will sell that among my jazz records. And I've got a record by her, but not this record. And I will keep that in my collection. So $12. Guy behind me was selling, he had some $5 records, but he also had some $5 records. And end of the day, I pulled these three. They didn't sell during the day, and I pulled these three out. And he said, just give me 10. It was $15 worth of records, three $5 records, and I got them for 10. There's a Van Morris. I've got that record already. I'll clean it up and probably, you know, uh, put it back out. The DBs, I have this record as well. This is, I can probably do something with that. And then the keeper, the one I'll keep in my collection, is a Billy Stewart on chess. And this is unbelievable. And, the jacket's not in great shape, but it's not splitting or anything like that. And I think I'll enjoy that. Billy Stewart, he died in a car wreck on Interstate 95, if I'm correct here, not far from where I am here in North Carolina. And the only record I spent any substantial amount of money for, it was it was billed as near mint, and the jacket looks, I'd say, very good plus, but not far off of near mint. And this Bud Powell, the return of Powell. This is, I think, his last recording. He died in not, I think he died in '64. Uh, but this is on the Mob label, Roulette, the Birdland series, and the great pianist Bud Powell. He wanted 25 for it. I asked him what his best price was. He said he could let me have it for 20, and I bought it for 20. I went home and looked it up. Was I wasn't surprised. That's a little bit high. Uh, I could get it for about 12 or $13 plus shipping. Uh, I could have gotten it on Discogs for uh, for 16, $17 shipped uh, in the same condition. But probably in a brick and mortar, I probably couldn't get it for less than $20. Uh, so those are some of the records I got. That's a little bit about uh, work, selling and buying at the record shows. What are your thoughts? Anybody interested in adding their own thoughts in uh, a video, a thread possibly about record shows, either showing and sharing what you got at record shows, or your thoughts why you love them or dislike them, or pet peeves, whatever. If anybody is, I'd love to see that. If not, so be it. Leave a comment below if you'd like to share your thoughts there. And I'll remind everybody, please let's all be kind to one another, folks, because we're all neighbors, people. We're all neighbors. Love one another. Take care.